Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be diving deep into something super important in cybersecurity. Analyzing server log files for suspicious activity using Python. If you've ever wondered how security analysts spot failed login attempts, system errors, or suspicious behavior on a server, this is exactly what we will be covering. By the end of this video, you'll understand the basics of what servers are, the types of servers out there, how server logs keep track of everything happening on them, and how to use Python to help analyze it all. So before we begin analyzing log files that come from servers, we first need to understand what exactly a server is. A server is basically a computer that provides services or data to other computers over a network. Servers are always running and record everything that happens. That's where server logs come into play. For now, let's quickly look at the types of servers and the protocols which they use. So let's look at the main types of servers. I'm keeping this high level for now because we'll dive deeper into ports and protocols in a separate video. The first server we'll be looking at are web servers. These deliver websites and web apps to users. You can think of this like any site you visit, like Google or YouTube. That content is coming directly from a web server. Next are database servers. These store structured data. If a game or online store needs to keep track of scores, inventory, or user accounts, that's a database server at work. Moving on, we have email servers, which handle sending and receiving emails. Every time you send a password reset or a newsletter, an email server is managing that. Continuing, we now see file servers. These are like the office filing cabinets in digital form. They store and share files for multiple people on a network. DNS servers are like the phone books of the internet. They translate human-readable domain names like google.com into the IP addresses that computers understand. Even though these servers do different things, they all generate logs, records of what happened, who accessed what, and when. These logs are gold for cybersecurity analysts. So what are server logs? A server log is a file that records everything that happens on a server. So if a server is like a kitchen, the log is like the security camera plus a detailed notebook. Every time somebody logs in, uploads a file, or encounters an error, the server writes it down. And that is exactly why logs are critical. They give us the information we need to detect security problems before they escalate. On the screen we can see an example of a server log, and this is where Python will come in handy. Instead of scrolling through hundreds or thousands of lines of code manually, we can write a script that automatically flags errors and suspicious activity, which is exactly what we will be doing in this video. Without further ado, let's now begin coding out this program. I will leave the resources in the description down below, and you can also feel free to pause and code along. For the first line, we will be creating a function. This function we will title Analyze Log. A function is like a small machine. You give it some input, in this case the path to a log file, and it performs a task. Functions are great because we can reuse them on any log file we want. The next line will be a print statement to create a big header in the terminal, just like what you'd see in a real CM system. The \n will be adding a blank line before and after so that it looks nice. This is to help separate the flagged entries from everything else in the output. Next, we need to open the log file safely. By doing this, we will be using the with open statement. So here we're basically opening the log file so that Python can read it. The quotation mark R means read only so that we won't be changing the file. And then as file is a safe way to open a file so that even if something goes wrong, Python will automatically close it. You can think of this like taking a book off a shelf to read, and file is the book in your hand. To look at each line in the file, we will be using a for loop. So the log file is made up of many lines, each recording an event. This for loop will go through every single line one by one. To search for warnings or errors in the server log file, we will be using an if statement. This if statement will check if the line contains the words error or warning. The or means either one is enough. This will filter out normal messages like info or debug so that we can only see the important stuff. If we come across any errors or warnings, we will be using a print statement so that if the line is flagged, it will be printed. The .strip at the end will remove any extra spaces at the start or the end so that it will look neat. Next, we need to specify the path of the log file. This is where the log file will live on your computer, and it will look different for everybody. To start with, we will be setting up the log file path. We will be setting this as equal to R before the quotes to tell Python to treat the backslashes literally, which is important for Windows paths. Before you can have a file path, you first need to have a server log. Feel free to copy and paste the one in the description below, and you can put it into something like a notepad where you can save it wherever you want. For this example, I will be using it from my desktop. So find the file wherever it is on your computer, and then you're going to right click it and go down to the option that says copy as path. This will copy the path directly to the server log file. Now that we have the path to the file, all we need to do is just paste it in the quotation marks as such. With this, the log file path will be redirected there every time. To finish our program, we now need to call our function analyze_log, and we will be passing it the log file path. You can think of this as pressing start, as the function will do all the work for us. When we run the program, we will now see the header specified in line 2 printed neatly above. To understand the output, each line will show the date and time, the severity, and the message of what happened. You can think of warnings like things you should check but might not stop the system immediately, whereas errors are problems that need attention and could affect system performance or security. This is basically how a CM tool flags important security events, and Python is doing the same thing in a simple, automated way. This output can be useful because it quickly identifies potential security incidents without scrolling through hundreds of lines manually. This helps focus on the problems first, like failed logins, errors, or unusual activity. If you want to, you can also extend this to count the number of errors and warnings, saved flag entries to a file, or to alert admins automatically. And that wraps up our introduction to analyzing server logs with Python. Remember that logs are like a server's diary, and learning to read them is a superpower in cybersecurity. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. Have a great day.